You guys were ordering it. But anyway, believe it or not, this movie was a ton of work to make. And it goes to show that when you watch a movie like this, it seems pretty simple. There's only 3 characters, and there's like 3 or 4 locations in the whole movie. But it took 2 days to film all of those scenes in the classroom, and it took about 8 to 9 hours per day. And that wasn't even enough time to get everything we wanted. And a lot of the shots in the movie, we had to get just 1 take. And on a good day, we would get like 2 takes of a shot. But if we got 3, we'd have to move right on. And it was a really rushed production. But the best luck that we had on the movie was the last day, because despite all our problems, we actually ended an hour early on our final day. And the house that we were filming at, we noticed that there was this basketball court in the backyard. And we were like, yeah, maybe we could do something with this before we pack everything up. So we improvised, and we told Kieran, who's the actor, the main kid in the movie, to just throw the basketball around, and the father actor to join him. And we just filmed that for about 20 minutes. And it wasn't even in the script, but it ended up making the end of the movie. And the stuff with the teacher packing up her car the next day, that was shot the very next day, just to kind of bookend that sequence. And none of that was in the original story, but it really came together nicely and tied everything up at the end. But yeah, movies are very difficult to make. And well, I'm going to bring Maura up in a couple minutes, and she's going to talk to you a little bit more about her experience and everything. And then afterwards, we'll answer any questions you have. So I'm going to bring up the teacher now.
All right. Last time I was here, I was insanely nervous. I'm not an actress, as you can tell. So I wrote some things out because I do love to write. And I said it was work to play me. It also wasn't. There were elements of timing that don't happen in real life, and I had to mesh the lines exactly with my son. Specifically, he was having a hard time knowing when I was finished. And the thing is, I would go offline a lot. And so, as you can see in a lot of the outtakes, we were out of sync. And we had this really wonderful conversation where it was almost like my son was the parent at the moment. And he said, well, how can we get back in sync? And he said, well, I think it's really just you relaxing and being you. And then I said, well, can you accept the fact that I'm going to go offline because I can't seem to remember all the lines? And he said, yes, he would. And I appreciated that. And I said, well, you also have to read my body language, so you'll know it's time for you to go with your scripted words, because he was very good at staying on script. And by the way, I do want to say the funny aspect to it is my son's favorite hobby is writing, so it's so not my son. So he did very much that, whereas me, I played pretty much me. Anyway, but we both had this moment where we said to each other, let's just show up and as who we are, do our best, and the movie's a combination of that. When I teach, I try to get people to be where they are too, right? I try to get them to have pride in their point of reference. If a student doesn't understand the concept fully or sees a different angle than I do, showing up and being you is important. So every time someone's done that, more authentic interaction and learning occurs. That scene with the licorice really did occur. I remember it, but I had forgotten it until you reminded me of it. And I mean, I knew I wasn't supposed to offer a piece of licorice to a kid, but they all knew that, I had a candy drawer that, I would eat out of in between classes, and they saw it. So So regarding the licorice, sometimes kids feel as if they need some of the boundaries taken away. The sharing of licorice takes away those boundaries, so it's sort of a metaphor, I guess. I didn't intend it to be, but Jackson extrapolated off of it, and I think it's got a beauty to its creativity, and the licorice has a life of its own. It's been a privilege teaching for 27 years. I will say that the whole game changer was Emily Spencer, because Emily Spencer, I actually taught in 6th grade, and Jackson, you had posted that you wanted some actresses, and I knew that she had acted, but I had no idea that she was going to be in it. And then you said, well, do you know Emily Spencer? I'm like, yeah, I just taught her last year. And so there were so many times when I couldn't remember the lines. And I also had this one-on-one conversation with Emily, and I was like, Emily, can we just go off script? Because I'm feeling like it's very flat, right? And so that whole scene where I said, you know, when you're writing, you feel good writing or acting, how does it feel? Like, you know, imagine, you know, you're outdoors, where would you be? Okay, riding a bike, and you're going down a hill, you feel good. That's good, then that's, we're gonna put that in there. You know, whatever makes you feel good, we're gonna just sort of ad-lib and put it in. And it was such a treasure of an experience for me to work with Emily. She's now in 9th grade. So I'm very skittish in playing me. I only did it because my son would only do it if I did it. So I in no way think that I'm the bomb at all. I think every teacher has such beauty and innuendo, not innuendo, but what's underneath, like the concern for the student, it's obvious, right? And you don't have to always say much, but just show up for the class, and the kid will show up for you. So, that's it.